Hey, welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. And, based on the big news, Jason Collins, a current NBA player towards the end of his career, but still a gutsy act, still playing, still active, comes out as being gay. And, our good friend, another real gutsy guy, played 10 years in the NFL with the Vikings and has since come out and has a great, prosperous life. And he's very open about it, and we admire him a great bit. We wanted to talk to him a little bit about Jason Collins, the great Esera Tuaolo. What's up, Esera?
Hey, aloha. What's up, Artie?
Aloha, my friend. I'm here with John Ritchie, who is my co-host, who was on the Raiders for 5 years, the Eagles for 2 years. Your careers probably were around the same time, I'd say. What years did you play, Esera?
I played from 91 to 2000.
Okay,
so we overlapped a couple of years.
Right, yeah. What's your first reaction when you hear this today, buddy? What do you think?
I got bombarded with emails and texts from everyone when the news broke, and definitely excited, about an active player coming out in one of the major sports, and definitely, I'm glad, for Jason Collins for coming out and and facing his truth and just living his life, living how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a move in the right direction. I mean, what do you think? Like in the, I know you just have the NFL as a reference, but what do you think?
Yeah.
Again, the NBA is no different. I'm sure it's a very homophobic situation in the locker room. Do you think this guy had to do a lot of the same stuff you did, like you said, faking the strip club thing, fake girlfriend? You think he probably went through all that?
I think he probably has. One of the things and stuff that really would hit home to me with reading about his story is, when he said when he came out, he felt whole.
Right.
And exactly the way I felt. I mean, people don't realize this stuff. That it's not that we're asking for anything. When I say we're trying to create a safer environment in the NFL, I'm not asking for different locker rooms or more money or anything like that. What it is, when I played with depression, I played with stress, I played with suicide tendencies, I played with blackouts.
Right.
And, it's one of those things where if we create like a safer environment for a player that's in the league that's playing right now, so they can play to their potential and not have to play with all those things, how amazing would that player be? I mean, because it definitely hinders some of my playing time, as far as like
I'm sure
in the league.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're talking about a more competitive, better league. And John Ritchie, I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Like, you guys overlap, like you say. If a teammate had come out, I mean, you guys were both in the NFL. Personally, your reaction, how do you think some players, be honest, other players that you knew that might have been questionable with homophobia, how do you think they would have felt about it?
Well, I think a lot of it, for me personally, I know that where I grew up, people are not open to homosexuality.
Me too, man. Absolutely.
But so if someone was kind of stifled in their kind of exposure for their entire career up until that point, I would assume that there would be some backlash. But for me, moving out to the West Coast and being in the Bay Area for a long time, it was always very accepted. I had in my dorm that I lived in when I first got to Stanford, there were 3 RAs, one for each floor, and 2 of them were gay, and so that was immediate exposure to me, and of course anyone who takes the time to notice and recognize that there is no difference. Everyone has choices that they make, and that kind of sees you through any sort of potential trouble spots.
Right.
But something that I don't think people are talking about, Esera. From what I understand, in the black community, is it considered more taboo, homosexuality? From what I gather, sometimes I think that they come down harder on
and my peeps too, Italian Americans too, and African Americans. It's pretty harsh, especially if you throw in the Bible aspect.
I think a lot of it has to do with religion.
Yeah,
exactly right. Well, just say
Pentecostal, the Baptists, the Catholics. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with how you were raised, and basically a lot in the African American culture and also in the Polynesian culture, religion or church is very important to our culture.
Yeah.
And and so when you So when you're going to a church that does not agree with who you are as a person, that's very difficult. Like when I was growing up, every time the topic of homosexuality would come up in church or whatever, it was definitely negative.
Sure.
And it was a curse, and it was abomination, and also and all of the other stuff. So I think religion has a huge part of that whole thing.